What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips for slower wide receivers in order to be successful and to be able to get separation when they are running routes. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want a daily wide receiver gym workout schedule for 4 months, check out that very first link in the description below for our 16-week wide receiver gym workout plan. What you'll get access to is over 300 plus wide receiver gym exercises with sets, reps mapped out for you on a daily schedule with conditioning workouts and on rest days, the works. So check out that very first link below, fellas, if you're interested. Let's get started with this video. So now, first things first here, we're looking at this route from Jarvis Landry. He's right here coming in motion across the formation. He's going to be doing this kind of crossover move, running a 5-yard out. So let's play at full speed. So you see the tempo change that he uses, and he uses that crossover, and he's able to get just honestly in the red zone. This is all you need. You need a step of separation, especially when the quarterback's giving you an accurate ball. So why does this apply to slower guys? And as a slower wide receiver, you got to have a high football IQ, like I said. You have to know when to do certain things. You have to know when to take your time on releases, because that's what can separate you from that 4.40 guy who can just burn guys and just go run and just pretty much do whatever he wants on that field. So when he comes off the ball here, what's Baker Mayfield doing? He's doing play action. As a slower guy, you need, like I said, you're looking for any little detail that can separate you from the competition. Whether you're a high school wide receiver, a youth wide receiver, you're looking for any little thing that you can use to give yourself a leg up. Because, you know, the receiver position, you got to be somewhat fast. You can't be just flat out slow and can't run, but you could be on the slower side of things and still have some success. And Jarvis Landry is one of those guys. I think he ran like a 4.7 at the combine, which is slow for an NFL wide receiver standard. So you have to know everything about every single play. That's how you can separate yourself. So Baker Mayfield's doing play action. So what does that mean? That means that it's a longer developing play. That means that the linemen are blocking different. We're trying to fake like it's a run. We're trying to get the linebackers to crash. But it's not just your typical 3-step drop under center throwing a 5-yard out like you would maybe see in a lot of high school playbooks. It's a longer developing play, like I said. So when he does this play action, watch what Jarvis Landry does with the tempo of his route. He slows the tempo down because he knows if he gets out of the route too quick, that DB is just going to be able to close the distance, and Baker Mayfield's not going to have that throw. So he takes his time to time it up with the actual play. That's what's going to get you on the field. That is what's going to help you separate yourself from other wide receivers who take that kind of thing for granted. Especially in high school, guys are just used to running the routes. They don't pay attention to IQ. They don't pay attention to the full play. But if you're that guy who wants to play college football and you're not the quickest, you have to do these things. So Landry, again, uses that tempo, attacks the DB's leverage inside, actually stepping into his frame, and then creates that separation, timing up with Baker Mayfield's footwork. This goes for anything, fellas. Let's say, for example, maybe you're not running like the 5-yard out coming in motion. Let's say maybe you're out wide. And let's say Mayfield's in gun and it's like an RPO and you have to run a slant. Maybe you don't do the quickest release ever. Maybe you take your time with the release and run the slant. So you have to have that high football IQ if you want to stand out as a slower wide receiver. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. This is a great use of tempo here by Landry. Great job throwing to the inside and winning on that out route. Okay, so now this is a second example here. This is Jarvis Landry's big catch that he made last week against the Falcons. And the reason why I wanted to showcase this clip is to show you guys how, as a slower guy, you have to get somewhat creative when you are running routes downfield. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So let's play at full speed. So Landry comes off and he does a great tempo change and then accelerates. He goes from 0 to 100 and is able to get maybe just a step of separation on this DB. But again, when you're playing football at a high level and you have a quarterback who can put the ball in the right spot, that is all you really need. So you see, he's running pretty much just a straight fade. But to get this DB to maybe settle, to get him to stop his feet, he changes tempo. Right? Now, this is kind of the same idea as, you know, like a stop and go where you burst up, you put the brakes on, then accelerate, you know, maybe any kind of like come back and go. It's just something to get the DB to stop his feet. Now, as a slower guy, these like creative things that you could add to your route have to be perfect because that's the only way you're going to get separation with routes downfield. Like that 5-yard out that we showed, maybe a quick slant, you know, maybe like a dig. All those are in the benefit of, you know, a guy who's not as fast. But if they're asking you, like, let's say you're an outside wide receiver, maybe you're on the taller side of things, but you're not the quickest, shiftiest guy. They're going to ask you to run routes downfield, and we have to be able to get separation. So you need to add different things to your tool belt to do that. So when he comes off the ball, we got obviously inside shade. He's running a fade. Our goal is to get him to sit, be able to slip outside. So he comes off, changes speed. Now, when we change speed, DB changes speed. That's why you always hear me saying, like, if you're running, for example, let's say the DB's off, like let's say he's at 15 and you're running a 15-yard comeback. I always tell you guys, don't slow down before the break point because the DB is going to slow down. So we can use that to our advantage sometimes. I got to run this fade. I change tempo and slow down, then I accelerate. And if I could just get him by a step, I should be able to win this route. Now, another thing I want to talk about. If you're a slower guy, you have to be very, very good at catching a 50-50 ball. So if you're going to run routes downfield, if you're going to run routes over the middle, DBs work a lot on something called recovery speed. Being able to recover, being able to make a play on the ball, and being able to catch up to you, even if you got him by a step or even if the ball's underthrown like it is right here. But it's underthrown to protect him from a safety, obviously. So you have to be very good at this. When you're trying to stand out on film, let's say you're a high school wide receiver trying to stand out to a college coach, and you're maybe not the 4.5, 4.4 40 guy. You have to be able to make these types of catches. These catches have to be on your highlight tape because that's the only thing that's going to make you stand out. College coach, everybody talks about that eye test, right? So what's the eye test? He looks at your size and then he looks at your speed. That's the eye test. So if you don't have that speed, if you maybe do have the height, maybe you don't have the height, you have to stand out on film. You're probably not going to turn any heads at some kind of camp, but your highlight tape could be real good if you have a lot of these 50-50 jump ball catches where you can win and showcase your ball skills. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Landry showcasing how slower guys have to be creative, but also slower guys need to be able to make that play on the ball when it's in the air. Okay, so now, last tip for slower guys is you have to understand spacing on the field. Because when it comes down to route running, especially if you're slower, you have to understand how you can accelerate and use the field to create more separation. Because at the end of the day, the DB does not know where we are running. He likes to pretend, he likes to think he knows where we are going, but at the end of the day, he has no clue. So if I could be a salesman with right routes and know how to use spacing, I can get a lot of separation even being on the slower side. So let's play this full speed. So we got this DB who's in press bail. Eyes are to the inside. He is going to be bailing out of there, and Jarvis Landry's running a comeback route. So let's play it full speed. So he attacks the blind spot, then pushes inside shoulder, and then snaps the route off and accelerates out towards that sideline. So I think the big thing slower wide receivers will be afraid of is like if they're running a route and it's zone, for example. Let's say it's cover 3. This DB's in charge of this whole deep third of the field. And you're running a comeback and you break down, but that DB's so much quicker than you. He's just right on your hip and we don't get the ball. You have to understand how to give yourself room or give yourself space so you can accelerate out of the break. Because at the end of the day, we have a head start on a DB. At the break point, he doesn't know if I'm selling the route correctly. He doesn't know if I'm running deep or if I'm running short underneath. Simple as that. So if we can sell the route, know how to use my spacing, I can get that head start. So normally in zone coverage, like if you were to run a route like a post route, right? Or like a deep post, let's say, where would you attack? You'd attack this blind spot of the DB. So you would angle your stem to the blind spot, try to make him think you're running outside on a fade so he widens and you could slip underneath. So now you see where Landry's lined up. Here's the bottom of the numbers, and they're even further past the bottom of the numbers. They're very, very close to the sideline. So when you're very close to the sideline, if you would just run this comeback and you were to just attack the blind spot and break it off, you would not have any space to the sideline. This DB would be able to close because he's faster than you, but also we didn't give myself any space. So what you would want to do is attack the inside shoulder of the DB. If I could push to the inside shoulder, get him to commit his hips, now guess what? I have more space to accelerate, and if I do my job selling the route, I can get some space. Now, a lot of guys think anytime that it's zone, I have to go blind spot. I have to go blind spot. That's not using your spacing, fellas. You have to emphasize these details, especially when you're not the most athletic guy on that field. So when Landry bursts out, you see how he goes here, attacks blind spot first, then he goes to that inside shoulder, gets the DB's hips to commit because he has a good pad level. He has good speed. He's running with the same stride, and then he breaks it off. So now we have this head start. Now I got into the break. I got that DB to commit his hips. Now I can accelerate and try to drive. Because now when I try to drive, yes, he might be faster than us, but I got that head start. And you got to realize too, fellas, being slow in football is not necessarily like being slow in real terms, right? Like let's say you run a 4.7 40 and the DB runs a 4.4. He's 0.3 of a second faster than you, right? That's not a big, that's like a snap of your fingers almost, like maybe like 2 snaps of your fingers. That's not a big deal. But imagine if you had a 5-yard head start on that guy and you guys raced. He probably wouldn't catch it. So you're giving yourself a head start by understanding spacing, understanding route running IQ, and understanding how you guys can accelerate out of the break with that head start. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. That's a great example of Jarvis Landry understanding where he's at on the field, having a high football IQ, and knowing where to attack to get that DB to flip his hips so we could win on that comeback route. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. You guys help keep this channel rolling, so we definitely appreciate it. And again, fellas, if you'd like a 4-month-long wide receiver gym workout schedule, everything wide receivers need to do in the gym, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.